Hello and welcome to another video. And this time is another characters guide. I know that I haven't done a characters guide in like 3 weeks or something like that, and I used to do at least one per week. But I was busy with things on the school and other games that I recently bought and so. But here I am. And this time is turn of the PDL, the Platinum Dragon Lord. For no particular reason, so yeah. And I recently got it to 4 stars, so I can show a little bit of the skills and everything about the character. This is the theoretical guide. Remember, I always upload two guides: the theoretical one where I explain everything and I give the recommendations and all of that, and then the practical guide where I go and show this character on multiple combats with different teams and all of that. So to begin with the theoretical part, that is this one that I'm gonna try to make it short. Uh, you can see here that I have the character level 80 or out of level 100 for just the reason of keeping it lore accurate, because it was gauged by Albedo that this character might be like level 80. Well, the armor at least might be level 80, and she was given the point because she's the specialized tank and all of that. So who might know better about tanks than probably the best tank and all of Nazarick. So yeah, I'm keeping it level 80. I don't particularly use this character, but I faced this character a lot, and I faced it particularly uh, more when I was level like 60 to level 100, something like that. But enough of that, and let's go with the guide. We can see here that this character is a knight class, so it's basically a tank. It's specialized in protection, shields, and shock, so it's a shock team member. And the basic attributes, we can see that he has B on speed, it's average. Back in the day, that will not be a problem. That will be, decent and balanced, considering that this character has 2S on the basic attributes. But nowadays, B on speed, it's a little bit bad because there's a lot of meta characters with S on speed or with A on speed, and that A can, get up to S levels because they steal speed or something like that. We can also see a C on attack. That is understandable because this character is a tank. This is not meant to be doing damage, and when we get to see the skills, we will see that even if you use the skills, this character is not gonna be doing a lot of damage, even if he has an S on attack. So it's understandable a C on attack. We can see an A on magical defense. That is really good considering it's a tank. That means that this character is not weak against mages or anything like that. And we see a double S, one on physical defense and one on health. This character, basically on the stats, the basic attributes, it's a mirror to the tank albedo that we can see here. Let me show you. Exactly the same stats. C on attack, B on speed, double S on health and physical defense, and 1A on magical defense. And that also very similar roles because both are knights, both have protection and shield on their capabilities. The only difference is that Albedo is more based on controlling the enemy, and the PDL is more based on shocking the enemy. And I wanted to say that because at the start of the game, a lot of people saw two banners at the same time, this banner and one with Albedo and Momon, and people had to make a choice. Or they went for Albedo and Momon, or one or the other, on that banner, or they went for the banner with the PDL that also had Renner. So people on the early game might have Renner and Platinum Armor or Albedo and Momon. Nowadays, the initial banner is Cocytus and Counter Yuri, but I wanted to say that just to keep it like for history. So that's a reason why a ton of people have the Platinum Armor, and those were like old accounts, and all the new accounts have more counter team members than these more tanky teams. Now, I'm gonna go with the accessories very quickly. You can level up this very easily, but we can see that at tier level 3, he obtains 5% reduction to damage over time. Tier 6 is gonna have 10% more health, that is incredibly good. And tier 9, 10% more physical defense, that is incredibly good because all of that plays into the best stats of this character. Now, the skills. As you can see, I don't have anything max, but I have decent levels. The magic absorption and the ultimate are level 3, the passive is level 4. I'm gonna start with the basic, the normal attack, the rush slash. It's damage based on 50% of his attack and 55% of his defense, physical defense, that can go up all to 70% of his physical defense. And at level 4, he has a 100% basic chance to inflict shock on the enemy for 2 rounds. You know, shock, a damage over time that lasts for 2 rounds, deals damage equal to 40% of the inflictor's attack before the action. And it's gonna shock or trigger the shock of other enemies that have the same debuff as well. But this time it's not gonna do a lot because it's 40% of the inflictor's attack. 40% of a character with C on attack is not a lot. So even if you max that skill, the basic attack is not gonna do much. Now, the first active skill, the magic absorption, he's gonna deal damage equal to certain part of attack plus defense that at max level is still this time. This part is 60% attack and 60% of his physical defense as damage. He's gonna gain a shield for 2 rounds, and the shield can absorb damage equal to 155% of this character's physical defense, and that can go up all the way to 185% of this character's physical defense. And also hitting one target, this is a single target skill, is gonna grant a 100% basic chance to inflict shock on the enemy for 2 rounds. And when the shield is removed, when it expires after the 2 rounds or when the enemy destroys it, it's gonna restore health equal to 10% of the character's max health, which is good because this is a tank with S on health, so that means he's gonna recover quite a lot of HP, and even more if you have something like champion armor on him. Well, champion relic set. And if you have this character at 6 stars, max stars, this skill is gonna have a 100% basic chance to inflict stun for 1 round. So you can basically make one enemy lose a turn unless that enemy gets purified by a healer or something like that. So with this skill, you basically shock someone. If it's max stars, you can shock and stun that enemy, and he's gonna gain a shield that if it gets destroyed or if it expires, he's gonna get some healing for himself. And that plays into his passive skill. That's why I left the passive for the next round. This character shields increase absorb damage by 25%, and that can go up all the way to 30%. That means that the shields of this character gets increased value. So this is one of the characters with the biggest shields or the most powerful shields on the game. And also, while this character has any shield, and this applies not only to the shields that he puts on himself, that also applies in case that other characters shield the PDL, like for example a Renner or a Tank Albedo or something like that that can shield other allies. That also applies. So while this character has any kind of shield, it's gonna perform support for all the allies, and that can go up all to 2 support actions per round. And support is here. When an ally is attacked, the supporter takes the skill damage and effects instead. That is basically when, for example, you're attacking a meta team or something like that, and you want to kill the healer, and then, for example, the enemy has a tank Sisita, and tank Sisita jumps in the way and she receives the damage instead of the original target. That is support. It's the same that, for example, the SR original Yuri does when you activate her second skill. She jumps in the way and protects her allies. And this skill at max level also purifies 2 debuffs from the PDL before using the skill with a cooldown of 2 rounds. Basically means that when this character is gonna get a shield, it purifies 2 debuffs from himself. That is to avoid, this character getting killed by a lot of damage over time. Like you stack it 9 blitz stacks and then you put 2 shock stacks and something like that, you're triggering them. Well, this character might be able to counter that. Well, not exactly counter, but get rid of that more easily than other characters. And then the ultimate, the World Isolating Barrier. All skill damage gets received by the allies gets transferred to the World Isolating Barrier, and this is basically like a big shield. This character puts a big wall that is color blue in front of everyone on the team, and all the attacks that the enemies throw at him immediately clash with the barrier first, and they don't go past the barrier to the allies in most cases. Then The World Isolating Barrier can endure damage equal to 115% of the Platinum Armor HP plus the 345% of his physical defense, and that can go up all the way to 130% of his health plus 390% of his physical defense, and also grants a 100% basic chance to inflict shock on 2 random enemies for 2 rounds after using the skill, and prioritizes the targets without shock. And if this character gets to be 5 stars, the World Isolating Barrier transfer gets reduced damage by 20%. That means that if an enemy is throwing a skill that deals 100 damage and shocks or clashes with the barrier is going to receive only 80 damage instead of the 100. And also at max level, when the ultimate is activated, purifies 1 debuff from 1 allies. Very similar to, for example, the ultimate of the tank Kokyutos, that when he activates that, he also purifies 1 debuff from all allies, including himself. So, with this we can already see that the character basically puts a big shield to protect everyone, and then when that gets destroyed, he purifies people and then throws the magic absorption to shock someone, get a shield for himself, maybe stun one enemy, and perform support to keep defending the allies. And the basic attack is just gonna be something that you throw when you don't have anything else to do. And the passive skill is gonna be increasing his value of the shields and purifying him. So everything about this character is defensive. Even when he has a little bit of shock synergy, everything about him is pure defense. Before I go up or continue with this, I gotta talk about the arc light, because I don't have the particular exclusive arc light of the PDL, but I can show you the arc light right here. And if I wanted, I could buy it right now, but I'm not gonna do that because I can show you that without buying it. And here is the encounter with the fierce foes. The exclusive effect is that when the ultimate barrier, when the ultimate shatters, gets destroyed, purifies 1 debuff for all allies and grants a shield by consuming 90% of defense for 2 rounds. So basically, when his ultimate gets destroyed because the enemy threw it a lot of damage to him, or expired, because this thing I think has a duration. I have seen it on Battlefield expiring without me doing damage. Even when here doesn't say it, I have seen it on the Battlefield expiring on its own. And when the ultimate is over, he's gonna get a big shield, and it's gonna purify 1 debuff from everyone, just like when he activated the ultimate. And not only that, but considering that he's gonna get a shield after the ultimate, thanks to the arc light, he's gonna gain basically the activation of the passive skill again. So he's gonna be able to perform support. And then if you get another turn with the PDL and throw the magic absorption, he's gonna get another shield on top of the one he already has, and he's gonna shock someone, maybe stun it, and keep being very, very tanky. And might not be able to perform more support if it's in the same round, because it has a limit of 2 supports per round. But if it's another round, he can perform again. So if you space out the moments when you get the PDL a shield, you might be able to constantly support your allies. But if you throw everything, one skill after the other, and don't space out the turns and so, you might be able to support the allies at the start of the battlefield, or the start of the fight, sorry. But then you're not gonna be able to support them. Especially the enemies have a lot of, fast characters that are gonna get turns way more often than the PDL. Now, the awakening levels. As you can see, I don't have level up this because I don't play him. But if I were to, recommend you, something might be similar to this. The gem that you get, the square gem at level 5 and level 20, I would recommend you one to be the energy gem HP, and another the one being the energy gem defense, the physical defense one. Specifically the ones that are on percentage. That way you're increasing the 2 best basic attributes of the character, and you're powering everything, because as we saw, this character skills scale with health and physical defense. So if you can give these 2, it will be really, really good. Then on the might gem effect precision that you get at level 10 and level I think 25, in this character have effect precision, and you can have effect precision as well if you want to, use this character and effectively inflict shock on them, effect precision will be really good because this character only has basic chance. That means that if the enemy has good enough effect resistance, they're gonna resist the effect, because the PDL doesn't have fixed chance. So a little bit of effect precision will be really good. But if you don't care about that, and you're using him for the capabilities as a tank and not as a shock team member or anything like that, you can go and put others like the critical damage resistance. That might be really good because the enemies, most of the enemy damage dealers do critical damage, so that will come in handy really nice. Then for the rare gem, back then I would recommend you the one of defense for the PDL because the ultimate can scale all the way to 390% of his physical defense, which is incredibly good. But nowadays, if you're gonna use it against meta teams or against the realm shadows or things like that, I would recommend you to get the one of speed. That way your PDL doesn't fall behind that much. And then for the Awakening level 30, the last one, you can always put this specialized tank gem that gives reduction to the damage over time, so he's more resistant to things like shock, bleed, or burn. But I will leave this one to you, as I will recommend you more the physical defense one because, it will make all of his shields stronger, it will make his world isolating barrier even stronger, and even if the PDL is without nothing, it's like all of his shields were destroyed, the ultimate was taken down, or something like that, he will still be tanky because of the pure stats. So I will recommend you those for him. Now, back to the PDL, and the next section is here, the relics. My relic recommendations are some different ones, like I have multiple options, but I have to clarify because I don't use this character a lot because I have other characters that I like more and other compositions that do not depend on him or do not get benefited from him as much as others. I don't have the best relics, but I have like placeholder relics to give an idea that are nice. But my first option here is the Red Dragon set. My second option will be the Starling set, my second recommendation, just like the game does. And my third one will be Champion set. Let me show you quickly the one I mean here. Set Champion set. Recovers from 7 to 10% of max health, depending on the quality of the relics, after action. That means that, at the start of the game, the very first turn, if you play before the enemy, that is not gonna get any value. But if the enemy played before you and did damage, and then you throw the ultimate or something like that, you're gonna heal part of the damage that you might have received. And that's another way of keeping your tank alive. And if he's alive, he might have, he might live long enough to throw another ultimate and protect you or your damage dealer from getting killed in the next round, and that might turn the tables and win you the game, things like that. And also increases the character HP by 10%, which is really nice because the PDL has a ton of health. Now, with the other two recommendations that I think are more specialized for this character are the Starling and the Red Dragon set. The Starling one first applies from 5 to 7.5% of defense boost to the entire team, and cannot stack with other bonuses of this kind. And it depends on the quality of the relic. If it's prismatic relic, the boost is gonna be 7.5% of the character's defense to everyone else. If it's not prismatic, it's 5%. But basically with the Starling set, you're gonna keep an increased defense to everyone on the team, and this character is gonna get 10% more physical defense. And physical defense is probably the best attribute on the PDL because his ultimate can scale all the way to 390%, and the all of his shields get increased value to absorb even more damage, and his other skills like the magic absorption also do damage and shield him based on his physical defense more than on his attack or his health. So with this, you will be basically buffing everything on his kit, at least everything that matters, and then you're giving a passive increase on defense to everyone on your team. Now, the Red Dragon set, on the other hand, increases your health instead of your physical defense, which might be good, and might be bad. Might be a little bit bad because you're not increasing your ultimate scaling as much, but will help you against a lot of enemies because most enemies that are damage dealers on the multiplayer and things like that, most of people run termination set, and termination set allows you to skip like 20 to 30% of the enemy total defense to ignore that defense. So even if you get a lot of defense, sometimes an enemy like Mate Albedo or Limited Lupo Regina that can skip up all the way to 50% of defense, for example, they might be able to destroy the PDL because they just straight up ignore his defense and go directly to his HP and kill him. And if you only level up the defense, he's gonna be squishy inside and he's gonna get killed easily. So you also have to level up HP, and that might help you with the Red Dragon set. But another thing that is really good on this character with this particular set is that he's gonna gain from 10 to 20% chance to reduce the skill of a random skill. Sorry, to reduce the cooldown of a random skill by 1 round when he takes damage, and can only be triggered once per round. That means that when he gets attacked, he has a chance of reducing one of his skills. It could be magic absorption or could be the ultimate. And that is really, really nice because, he is a tank. He has the most chances of being hit by area of effect attacks, and also when the enemies try to target other allies. If he has a shield, he's gonna get in the way. He's gonna receive the damage. So when he receives the damage, he can trigger the Red Dragon set and get maybe the second skill again, so he might be able to stun another people, or he might get the ultimate ready and it defends more. Other option that you can use is very quickly the Vermare set. The Vermare set gives you the chance of reducing one skill cooldown when you use a skill. So something you can do is throw the ultimate on his first turn. Hope that you get the Vermare set activated. So it activates, it reduces 1 round of your skill, and then you just wait another 2 rounds instead of 3, and you get the ultimate again. Or by the second turn of the PDL, you throw the second skill. Maybe you get lucky, Vermare activates, reduces the ultimate cooldown one round, and then you get it again. Or you combine the PDL with a character like Pestonia or Clementine, the healer one. So you throw his ultimate, you hope the Vermare activates or the Red Dragon set activates. You get the cooldown reduced by 1 round, then you use Pestonia ultimate or Clementine second skill to reduce the ultimate cooldown of the PDL again, so you can throw another barrier. So when the enemies are close to destroying the first barrier and actually do damage to your team, you already have another barrier, or you're already good to go to put another barrier and stall the game for as long as you need. Now, the sub-attributes for the relics, no matter what set do you prefer from the ones that I recommended you for the reasons that I already said, the sub-attributes are going to be the same on them. Your first priority is going to be physical defense. Your second one is going to be health. Your third one is going to be speed. And the fourth one could be, a very varied stat or attribute depending on what you need or what you get, because you cannot control all the sub-attributes of your relics. As you can see here, I do have AAA, 1 on defense, physical defense, 1 on speed, 1 on health, and B on reduction to the damage over time. Overall, this is decent. Here you can see I have B on magical defense, that is meh. B on damage boost, that is absolutely useless here. A on health, and S on effect resistance. That is really nice, that way this character doesn't get stunned and things like that. Then I have here B on HP, A on reduction to damage over time, A on attack, that is useless, and S on magical defense, so he doesn't get destroyed by a mage. And here I have C on effect precision as well as effect resistance, A on physical defense, and S on health. As you can see, those are not the best attributes, like in no way those are good at all, but I can give you a better idea here with this character. And here it is. It's a champion armor set, as you can see, but at least it works. Here, for example, will be ideal for the health and the magical defense. Health will help your PDL so it doesn't get deleted by someone like Maid Albedo that can ignore his defense, and magical defense to keep it up with mages. Here, this is a really good example, I think. A crimson dress. Beyond physical defense, okay, it could be an A and will be better, yes, but it is what it is. Then Aeon speed is really good on a character that has Beyond speed, that way doesn't fall behind that much. And double less, one on effect precision and one on health. An effect precision will be nice, that way the PDL successfully shocks the enemies every time he uses a skill. And not only that, but if he is 6 stars, that will basically help him a lot to guarantee that his second skill, the magic absorption, is always gonna stun people. And Ace on health, so everything scales on his kit and himself as well. Here you can see another good example. C on attack, okay, A on defense and double S, one on damage boost, another on effect precision. Honestly, the effect precision and the defense should be the priority there. And here, for example, might be another really good relic on the sub attributes, but not on the ratings. Be on physical defense, effect precision, and speed, with 1S on health. If you could get exactly this combination of sub attributes, but at a higher rating, like everything is at least A, that is really, really good on the character. Like, your priority number 1 on the PDL should be physical defense. Your second priority should be health, because or HP, however you know that, because those are the best basic attributes of the character. Your third priority on the basic attributes should be speed, so he doesn't fall behind that much. And the fourth one, it depends on you. You can go critical damage resistance, so he doesn't get killed by damage dealers when his shields fall. You can go for magical defense, so he doesn't, get destroyed by a mage. You can go effect precision, so you can combine him with the shock team members and have a lot of good synergy with shock and, constantly triggering that. Or you can go for something like, for example, effect resistance, I will say, if I had to choose between the rest of the stats that I haven't said. Effect precision or effect resistance. Effect resistance will help you, so the enemies might throw something like a Seshi ultimate or an attack powered by Pestonia that is meant to silence the PDL so he doesn't throw the ultimate. Well, effect resistance is gonna help you, or help the PDL so he doesn't get controlled by the enemy and it's able to successfully throw his ultimate. Because sometimes you only need this character to throw the ultimate and that's it. And yeah, those are gonna be like the priorities number 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first 3 ones are, I will say, mandatory. The last one is up to you or your luck, because it depends on the RNG what do you get. Now, for the relic enhancements, these are really, really easy. Your priority number 1 is this: fortitude damage. Fortitude damage from level 1 to 5 gives you physical defense, but from level 6 to level 10 not only gives you physical defense on flat amounts, but also increases it from 8% all the way to 20% at level 10. I know it's difficult to get the level 10 enhancement on any character, but if you can get it, this is gonna be the best enhancement that you can get the PDL by a lot. I assure you that, I guarantee you that. And if you dedicate a little bit of resources to him, I'm sure you can get it. And that will boost him a ton. Like, you can have this character with 10k defense and 10 this enhancement. And it's gonna be 20% extra physical defense to 10k of defense, you're gonna get to 12k, something like that. Then, your second option is gonna be health. It's like 42 damage, and the cycle gives you health on flat amounts from level 1 to 5, but from level 6 to 10, it also increases it by a percentage as well, from 8 to 20%, which is incredibly good. Like, if you can get both to level 10, you already have this character boosted. But if you have to choose between only one or the other, prioritize 42 damage, because both scale the same on as basic stats on the character, but on the skills, physical defense makes the skills scale higher than health. So prioritize 42 damage, and if you can endless cycle, then you do it. But if you have to choose only one, prioritize the physical defense. Then you can either max critical damage resistance or crit resistance. So your characters get basically more tanky and it's harder to kill by damage dealers that do critical damage or any kinds of that kind of effects, like rangers or mages that have termination set and are maxed up on critical damage or critical chance. That might be the best. And then after 42 damage to increase the physical defense, your priority number 1 on the special enhancements should be the Iron Wall Protection. At level 1, the Iron Wall Protection increases the shield amounts by 7% when gains a shield, but can go up all the way to 42% extra shield. In my case, for example, here I have it at level 3, so increases the shield amounts by 22%. And this might increase the shield that he gains from other characters that gets on himself, like a healer putting a shield on him, things like that, it affects. And also increases the shields from the magic absorption skill that he throws when he stuns and shocks the enemy. The only thing I do not guarantee, because I don't know it, is if it increases the value or the amount of, shield of the ultimate. If it's the case, it is really, really good and should be, your priority number 2 at the very least to max this special attribute or enhancement. But if it doesn't, it's still really good because this character not only gets a ton of shields with the arc light and the magic absorption and the ultimate, but also his passive skill increases the shield values even more. So his passive basically already has the Iron Wall Protection effect. So if you can combine the Iron Wall Protection effect with the passive skill of the character, then you're basically doubling up one of the skills of the character, and you're basically enjoying double bonuses there. So those should be the priorities: 42 damage for physical defense, endless cycle for health, 10 Iron Wall Protection for the increased shield values, and the fourth one is up to you. You could level up Impeccable for critical damage resistance, you could level up Indestructible for critical resistance, or you could level up other things like, for example, Unnerving Shot for effect precision and speed at level 6 and more. But at the very least, priority should be the one of physical defense, health, and Iron Wall Protection. Those are basically the best relic enhancements that you can get on this character, because it makes all of his skills scale with that, and it's incredibly good, the synergy that you can get with those skills and the character itself. Now, for the last part, the teams and compositions that can be played with this character and make some kind of synergy. First of all, the stalling teams. That is like the most popular strategy or kind of teams that you can run with the PDL. The stall teams or the stalling teams are teams that are not only incredibly tanky, but also negate a lot of enemy effects on things. Like, for example, you use the PDL to throw the barrier, so you cover every ally from incoming damage and you purify debuffs from them. Then you pair on the same team something like, for example, Tank Cocytus as well, that also purifies and debuff from every ally, also gives shield to all of his team, gets damage sharing, so all the incoming damage gets redirected to him, and also forces the enemies to attack him during the first round 8 times. So the enemies are forced to attack the tank unless they have area of effect attacks. Then you can use something like Valkyrie Shelter to give the damage sharing even more, so all the incoming damage, even if it trespasses the ward isolating barrier, gets divided. Some will be redirected to Cocytus, others are going to be redirected to Shelter. And not only that, but because everyone will have a shield, there's a chance that even when the damage gets redirected to them and not only gets blocked by the shield, the PDL is going to get in the way and receive the first damage or the impact. He's only going to receive the impact but not the damage, because that's going to be redirected to the other 2 tanks and it's going to get absorbed by the shields. And then as your 4th character, usually is a damage dealer that takes a lot of setup, takes multiple turns to shine or something like that, like the Unlimited Nave, for example. Usually you want to make her, by either countering or assisting or whatever, throw a basic attack so she gains damage boost, then you throw the Dark Thunder Veil so she gains high tier defense boost and ultimate damage taken down, and then you throw the ultimate, because that way the ultimate is going to have all the extra effects from the basic attack and the Dark Thunder Veil, and you're going to maximize the damage of the ultimate, and that might as well be a one-shot kill to most characters in the game, unless they're very, very protected by multiple tanks or multiple healers or something like that. So characters like this that take a lot of setup to really defeat the enemy or show their potential are usually put on those stalling teams. So while Shaltier is redirecting damage and lowering their defense, the PDL is buying time with the World Isolating Barrier so everyone gets their cooldowns down again, or they get their ultimate readies again. Then Cocytus is making the enemies forcibly attack him, so your damage dealer is safe and sound. Then you get like your second or your third turn with Nave, and then she destroys the enemies. You can do the same with other characters like Victim here, that you could use the first turn to throw Martyrdom to put magical defense down on all the enemies, and then the second turn you can throw Divine Martyrdom to make a big explosion, do a lot of damage to all of the enemies, possibly stunning the enemies, or maybe even killing one or multiple enemies at the same time. And because this character gets his HP cut in half when the game starts, and he's very easy to kill, you might want to protect him as well. So with double tank and aside of the PDL and then the PDL, you might as well make him almost immortal. Or you can use something like a double tank, you use the PDL and another tank of your preference, like this character right here, that increases everyone's physical defense. So this will be an incredibly good synergy with the PDL. And then you use a healer like Anniversary Vedo, because of the passive skill, is able to give invincibility to one ally, or to two allies, or one ally put twice for 2 rounds. So one ally will be invincible for 2 rounds with debuff immunity, shields, high tier effect resistance boost, and if you throw the ultimate, you can also increase even their critical damage all the way to 45% more. So you have a healer that is not gonna let anyone die, and you have 2 tanks to make sure that your damage dealer never dies. You can also do the same with a character like this, like the Halloween Momon. So not only he does a lot of damage and has a ton of speed, so he's constantly getting a turn, but he has a lot of assist rate. So he's gonna be able to attack even during allies' turns. So you're not gonna feel like the game is very slow because you only have one damage dealer. And then if the enemy is able to actually kill him, his passive is gonna keep him alive. Then you are gonna have things uh, like the PDL War Accelerating Barrier to buy time for his passive to get back, or if you don't have that skill ready, you have Albedo Invincibility to keep him alive even more. So that way you assure that your damage dealer never dies. And you can use with that combo with any damage dealer that takes a lot of setup or that you want to protect at all costs. Could be Navi, could be Momon, could be something like Seshi that is very squishy and easy to kill. It could be Victim as well. It could be Solution, any kind of damage dealer that you want. It could even be with this guy, because this Lizardman not only does a ton of damage, but also controls the enemies. So you might have a warrior that does area of effect damage, does a ton of damage to all of the enemies at once, and then is able to freeze them so they lose a turn and you don't need to do more. So the stalling team might be the first team. Another team that you could use is the control team. A control team will be the PDL, for example, to stun the enemy with the second skill, or if you don't have it 6-star and he cannot stun, at least to buy time with the barrier. The barrier basically is gonna negate all the enemy damage. Then you put Saryusu, because Saryusu is gonna be able to freeze the enemies and the enemies are not gonna be able to do anything. Like they're not gonna be able to attack. And you can use Eshi, for example, because the ultimate is gonna stun the enemy, and not only stun them, but it's also gonna steal speed from the enemies, so they are not gonna be able to play. And then you put something like this character as well on the team as the second tank, because the ultimate is gonna be able to taunt from one to all the enemy team at once and force the enemies to attack the tank. And the Arclight also allows her to taunt the enemies again with the counter attacks. So you have multiple characters that are constantly controlling the enemy, so the enemies do not get to play a single turn. They cannot attack, they cannot heal or shield or anything, and you still have a nice combination between 2 characters that are purely for defense and 2 characters that are purely for offense. And if you don't like that team, like the control team or the stalling team, you can go for a shock team. An easy shock team for you to use is either the DSR Entoma, because her second skill shocks, the Aura, because Diego Revolter Aura, because everything about her shocks the enemies and does extra damage to shock at targets, or this Nave that also shocks the enemies, does critical damage and can execute, or this Nave that also does a lot of shock damage, dispels enemy buffs when she attacks someone with shock, and does more damage to enemies with shock, and also increases her own stats when she attacks someone with shock. So you can use a shock team with a PDL, and the PDL is gonna be your tank. He's gonna defend all of your team, while the shock team members not only shock the enemies but trigger it over and over again until they're dead. And maybe even the PDL can, when he uses the second skill or the ultimate, he can trigger a chain reaction of shock and kill someone. So those will be the teams and compositions that you can use with this character. I know I went a little bit fast on this last section, but I wanted to do it in less than an hour, so I needed to end this quickly. So with the teams and composition set, that will be everything. And when I release the practical guide, I'm gonna explain the teams in more depth. So wait for that, and thanks for watching, for hearing, and until the next time.